Good morning again, and thank you to Archimon for providing this opportunity to talk about materials that are used to make furniture within the framework of Xylexpo. Today's focus is going to be timber panels. In our first meeting yesterday, instead, we spoke about solid wood. Today we are going to deal with panels that are derived from this starting material, timber. This is a particle board, for example. This is a fiber board, an MDF. This is a honeycomb light panel. And panels really represent the skeleton of all furniture that is made for home environment, for offices, for collectivity in general. All of them contain a core part that it's made of these materials, the timber panels. Whoever produces timber panels need to pay attention to their properties and the characteristics so that they are suitable and capable to bear the stress that a finished product needs. So some verifications are very important from the very beginning in order to characterize these materials. Today we're going to look at some of these verification processes, that some tests that have to do with the mechanical properties. For example, resistance to deflection, density profile, tensile strength, a number of characteristics that are important for the finished product. Today we are also going to look at some other aspects that have to do with the composition of timber panels. Recycled materials are increasingly utilized nowadays, and in these timber panels there may be some other substances with which the timber was treated originally. Over the time, some developments have taken place, and some substances that were allowed for use 50 years ago have now been banned and prohibited, and so we need to look for them inside these panels. So we need to make sure that these substances that have been banned are no longer present in timber panels. And so this is an aspect that we are going to look into when we visit our chemistry laboratory that takes part in verifying these properties. And possibly, needless to say, there's always been a problem related to timber panels, that is the release of formaldehyde. Panels are made with resins that bind together the various particles or timber fibers, and these resins or binding substances are renowned for the release of formaldehyde. And we're going to see it later in the laboratory that there are a number of tests, verifications, controls and certifications that need to be made and completed in order to ensure that the product is compliant with market requirements. We have now moved to the chemistry department of Catas, where, as anticipated, we carry out analysis of timber panels to verify formaldehyde release and potentially hazardous substances. But let me give the floor to my colleague, Daniele Bergamasco, who is also the Vice Director of Catas. Thank you to Franco Bulian for introducing the chemical department of Catas. As anticipated, what we do in this department is, in short, to perform two jobs. First of all, determination of formaldehyde content in timber panels that are used to make furniture that is then sold in Italy and internationally. And also we determine all the substances that may be found in the timber panels and are subjected to rules. We are now going through an historical moment whereby the demand for timber panels made of recycled wood is increasing. So that's timber that has been used for different purposes. Clearly, we need to bear in mind that when these timber panels are given to a company, they first have to be washed out of all the substances that may have been introduced in the past and that may be dangerous and hazardous to the end users. So as Catas chemical department, we verify that the panel, although it is produced with 100% recycled timber, are delivered to the final users in the safest way. There is a part of formaldehyde that comes from timber panels because of the fragmentation of the gluing parts that bind together the various parts of the panel. Formaldehyde is a cancer-causing substance, is subjected to some law requirements, and Catas determines whether the release and the content of formaldehyde is compliant with the law requirements. The second part of our job is to take care of contaminated substances in the timber panels, such as heavy metals, asbestos, fibers. In this case, too, our task is to add value to the finished product and to ensure that the final product is properly tested and verified by Catas, and it is therefore safe and can be used in all home environments with the highest safety standards. A practical example is this type of equipment that we use. This is a gas analyzer. It is regulated by a specific international standard, and we use it to run a test that allows within 4 hours to determine whether timber panels are compliant with the Italian ministerial decree as well as with the European legislation. We can therefore ensure that the timber panel is compliant with the strictest market rules at the moment. We are now in the test cell. You can see this equipment. It is called testing rooms or chambers. They simulate the living conditions of a real home or environment. They are made of steel. Inside there are constant temperature and humidity. Timber panels are cut to different sizes depending on the analysis and standard that we want to verify. Panels are inserted in the rooms. They stay there from 7 to 28 days, and the technical engineers will then sample the air inside the testing rooms to verify the formaldehyde release. On day 28, as per norm requirement, we can determine the result and determine whether the panels are compliant with the Italian law requirements as well as international and European rules. We have just completed a test. Let me show you the sample that we tested in this chamber. It's a small board sample, MDF board. We have labeled it with all the traceability information and details for the client. The test has been successfully completed and the sample is compliant. We can remove it from the test room and store it. Welcome back to the mechanical testing department in Catas. This is the place where we test materials. We are going to talk about the timber panels, which are at the heart of the materials used in the furniture industry, MDF and chipboard panels, as well as plywood panels, take the upper hand here. We need to characterize these timber panels. Every day we basically break up what companies normally put together. Our game is to break down these materials and to see how they perform versus the rupture loads and how they break. And oftentimes how they break matters most than when they break. So this is basically the purpose of our tests. We measure how wood screws can hold in a board. We check whether the MDF fibers have been glued together properly, the quality of gluing processes. So there is a 360-degree assessment of the panel performance. Future challenges are pretty clear, especially in the medium term. And Catas acts as the referee of the industry, if you want. What we observe, we have observed three main trends. First of all, sustainability. And what do I mean by sustainability? Timber panels that are made with recycled wood. They may be a little bit too heavy, and the legislation is moving towards light-weighted panels like sandwich panels or chipboard panels. One of the future challenges is also to improve the standards for timber panels, specifically with a focus on mechanical properties. The past 30 years have seen no review of the standards in this respect. For example, wood panel capping is a requirement, is a very strict one, and this causes problems in the furniture industry. A shelf that has high deformation in the beginning will deliver major problems when then it is placed in use. So in the future there is a need to really find the right balance between sustainability and performance requirements, because the panels need to be somehow adjusted in this respect. The third trend is to address the wood panel processing methods. The challenge has to do with the legislation. At the time being, there are wood panel processing defects, but there is no way to evaluate and measure the quality of panel performances during shearing, problems with blades, tools, quantity of sand in the panel. It's a whole world to be fully discovered for the future. Well, we've now come to the end of the second day spent at Catas headquarters. We've taken the time to look into the various tests conducted on the materials. The first day was dedicated to wood. In the second day, as you've just seen, we've addressed timber panels, which represented the heart of all the pieces of furniture that are made and manufactured nowadays. We've looked at various characteristics in relation to safety and mechanical parts. We are now at Xylexpo, and so woodworking processes are also very important. Timber panels characteristics have a very high impact on the woodworking processes that are conducted with various materials to produce finished products. A few simple examples. This is a particle board panel. Its internal structure and type of grain in the inner core may have an impact, a huge impact on the edge bending process. The adhesive substance that is applied may penetrate more or less the inner part of the panel and therefore determine an adequate or appropriate gluing or not, performance or not. So we should never really forget that these materials we work with may really vary a lot. There is a lot of variability, and so we need to be careful and learn how to look at the MSDS provided by the manufacturers of the materials, but we also need to conduct some controls and tests because there is a certain degree of variability that derives from wood itself, timber itself, and also the recycled materials. And therefore, the control process is a key element to ensure that the product meets the market requirements. At the end of the second day, let me just say goodbye to all of you and anticipate that tomorrow's meeting will be dedicated to surface finishes. So we will deal with the various types of surfaces that coat panels and that we have to do every single day with surface treatment in performing our activities in terms of getting in touching objects, liquids, fluids, cleaning processes. So we will find out how verifications are important for surface treatment too, for panels and also for all the materials panels are coated with.